Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Peretti, and I'd like to welcome you as we discuss interprofessional practice, or IPP, as it relates to the scope of practice for speech-language pathologists. According to ASHA's definition, IPP occurs when multiple service providers from different professional backgrounds provide comprehensive services by working with individuals and their families, caregivers, and communities to deliver the highest quality of care across healthcare and educational settings.
Working together is just the way we're supposed to work. This is the only way in which we can achieve positive outcomes for our clients, is working together with them as the key stakeholder.
Interprofessional practice is the essence of what speech-language pathology has become. We don't work in isolation anymore.
Our 2016 scope of practice for speech-language pathologists includes information on interprofessional collaborative care. It talks about what is a collaboration. It talks about effective communication between professionals, involving family members in the decision-making process as you set goals for the individual with a communication disorder.
There are three main components when we're dealing with interprofessional practice, dealing with collaboration. And the responsibilities among the team members always have to be shared. The decision-making has to be shared as well, and the communication has to be joint among the members of the team.
The ASHA Code of Ethics, which references interprofessional collaborative care, and in essence, Principle 4a states that practicing speech-language pathologists are supposed to engage in collaboration with other professionals where necessary in order to provide the highest quality care to our patients.
Interprofessional practice supports the speech-language pathologist's scope of practice in various settings, including school, medical, and private practice. Within these collaborations are many different service providers cooperating together for the benefit of the client.
So whether it's direct intervention treatment, as we say, or whether it's family support or support groups or community education activities, we're doing this as a team so often.
Intercommunication is really critical, not only on paper, on the computer, but to get to meet people and know these practitioners that refer to you and you work with.
Networking, while it takes time out of a busy practice day, is imperative in terms of reaching out to other professionals and sharing that information right up front or asking for it. We often get caught up in, I believe, that it's the idea that we don't have enough time to do that. In retrospect, it actually takes more time to obtain that information individually, repeatedly, than it would for a simple phone call or an electronic request for records.
Without the time for communication between professionals with regards to the person you're trying to help, you're gonna miss out on the concept of why you have a team.
Many times working with a multidisciplinary team, we share a similar software when we document. So I have the luxury of seeing what the occupational therapist did in the session prior. I get to see what physical therapy wants to work on in goals, and therefore we could have a nice overlap and to follow through if someone's being consistent with their therapy plan.
Some of the areas in the SLP scope of practice can potentially overlap with other members of the IPP team.
Everything is individualized. So when I think of examples, these are, everything has to be specific to whatever the patient is. The first one I thought of was dealing with AAC. And in AAC, what we're dealing with as SLPs is we're using devices to help individuals who have impaired verbal communication. With the SLPs dealing with specifically OTs and PTs, depending on the mobility and physical ability of the patient, many times you're dealing with the access to the device itself and also placement of the device. So it may be placement on a wheelchair or a walker.
When working with our physician colleagues in ENT for voice disorders, there's certainly surgical and medical approaches, and we take behavioral approaches. So there's overlap there in terms of who's going to do what and how that's going to happen, but that gets worked out also in the medical environment so that there's respect in spite of the overlap.
Within school, medical, and private practice, interprofessional education fuels interprofessional practice, which leads to enhanced quality and outcomes.
As of August 1st, 2017, the Council for Academic Accreditation for programs in speech-language pathology and audiology has actually added a new standard of knowledge and skills outcomes specifically related to interprofessional education and interprofessional collaborative care.
We work very, very hard and diligently with some of the other medical professionals in our building to regularly host interprofessional practice meetings.
I was very fortunate in my graduate studies in the sense that our program took place in the same building as the physical therapy program, the pharmacy program, and they recently actually just added physician assistance programs as well. And because of this, we all got to see what all of the other students were going through in their training, and we had, going in, I think, very narrow ideas of what these professions did, but by interacting with them at the coffee machines every day and seeing all the stuff they were studying, we got a really interesting perspective on what these disciplines have.
I believe that when our students go out and are placed in practicum sites, that they then give the professional who is their mentor the opportunity to see something they may have not received in their educational training and open a door and an invitation to practicing interprofessional relationships and networking for the benefit of the patient.
So, why does interprofessional practice work?
We can't just look at our students or our clients through just one single lens. You know, the magic doesn't happen in 30 to 60-minute increments in the therapy room. Really what we need to be doing is considering all of the needs that this client has to be successful in their everyday life and consider all of those aspects. And in order to fully understand what our clients need, we need to consider the perspectives of other disciplines.
We wouldn't think of moving any further unless we had their opinion, their input, so that now patients get the benefit of a number of experts who have tremendous information. And that explosion of information in each of these specialties has benefited the patient, because now you're not seen by just one or two or three people. And when you see that happen on a great team, like our cleft palate team, because we have the right people, the right personalities, we have the institutional support for it. Before, we didn't have all those factors.
It's really important when we work with team members, because when we look at the client, we're looking at the whole person, and we really shouldn't be working in isolation. We need the other disciplines to support us, to help us, to give us references and additional advice. Again, we can't do this job alone, and we look at what's the best way to serve someone, and to me, it's working on an interdisciplinary team.